After his bloodlust seemed to calm, we resumed our arduous trek to Yonezawa, which unfortunately had been delayed until the middle of the night. We moved diligently through the forest, navigating through wayward pine-filled branches until we could make out the castle town glowing in the distance. The undertaking involved in our task was becoming more concrete, and I could tell it unsettled Nagakura. He took a deep breath before speaking with a clear sense of discomfort in his voice. What was that?
悪いな、千鶴ちゃん。羅刹を増やそうとするやつ。人の世に羅刹を使おうとするやつ。もしかしたら、本当に羅刹の力を使ってでも止めなきゃならないかもしれない。
If you're talking about father, I'm ready for anything.
そう簡単に割り切れるもんなのか。
I wouldn't say easy, but it warmed my heart to hear Nagakura's words of concern for my well-being. I'm not sure. I know he made mention of the fact that supposedly I'm not his real daughter, but my only lasting impression of him is a kind, loving father, so I finished my thought by saying, I will defeat him. It felt strange being so resolute in my convictions. If it turns out that father truly is the one to blame for all of these murders, then I'll defeat him myself. It was my father who created the Furies and set all of this chaos into motion. So as his daughter, it is my task alone to undo the calamity he has invoked on our people.
無理しなくていいんだぜ。君の剣はそんなことのために振るっちゃいけない。その時は俺が剣を振るおう。
Nagakura.
まああれだ。とっ捕まえてぶん殴ってやるからよ。二度と羅刹なんかに関わらねえように反省させてやる。ちょうどいいぜ。一度あの親父をぶん殴ってやりたかったんだよな。
Nagakura's cheerful levity brought a welcome smile to my face and mine because, oh boy, I can't tell if he's just trying to lighten the mood or is being serious. Confronting my father was a growing inevitability. Ugh. But hearing Nagakura make light of our circumstances so coolly was a charming gesture. For all of these years, my entire life really, I regarded him as my flesh and blood, but he wasn't. Guess there really isn't anyone in the world that I could call family. I'm all alone out here after all. My eyes dropped to the floor to suppress myself from crying, and Nagakura wrapped me in his arms. I let myself melt into his I can't read. Hold on. I let myself melt into his bosom, caressing it gently as his warmth soaked pleasantly to my cheek.
本物の親子じゃなくても育ての親って言葉もある。そんな簡単に縁が切れたり割り切れるもんじゃないよな。でもよ、ここにも一人いることを忘れないでくれよ。
I can't tell if he knows or is still in denial. I'm sorry. Please let this be the moment he admits it. Can it be the moment? Is it the moment? I don't know. And we don't have our duck friends with us. Since our first acquaintance, Nagakura had made a point of showing how deeply he cared for me. Our hearts were inexplicably drawn together from the start. Say, didn't you used to say that I was like your little sister or something like that, Nagakura?
いや、そうじゃなくて、もっと親密っていうか。千鶴ちゃんとは、もっと仲のいい関係になりたいって思ってる。
え？
君のことは俺の大事な女性としてそばにいてほしいと思ってて。
Then, as if hoping to convince me with the strength of his grip, Nagakura tightened his arms around me.
だから、君とは、あれだ、夫婦ってやつになりたいと思ってる。そのちぎりを今、交わしたいと思うんだが、ダメかな。
This boy. Oh god. Oh my god, Nagakura. Alright. We all knew he wasn't the smoothest, but holy shit. Jesus! Yes, I would be honored to accept. I lifted my jaw upwards, coaxed by his enticing stare. Then our lips were pressed softly together. Never had I been swept by such a romantic thrall. But here, we bask in our love under the twilight. This was no mirage, no loathsome daydream. This was a kiss of intent, one that signified our eternal devotion to our love to each other. I felt safe in Nagakura's quivering mouth, cradled by his tender embrace as he pressed his hand against the small of my back. Nagakura and I, at long last, were uninhibited, free to let our hearts entwine in a moment of genuine bliss. Each moment, I sunk deeper into his loving arms. With them, the embers of our affection kept me warm until morning. And cut to the music. Not even giving it a proper ending. Just straight into it. Does this mean they're engaged now? Holy shit. Dawn erased the pitch black covering the sky. Patterns of stars above, a purple patchwork dissolving into a shade of light blue by morning. Unbeknownst to the Fury Corps on their march to Yonezawa Castle, we sat idly, waiting for their arrival. While the castle guard was half asleep, they covertly planned a siege to flood the castle with Furies. It was just as Amagiri had predicted. I don't know what that was. Nagakura, they're here.
Ah. この先は俺に任せてくれ。
From the bushes behind which we were hiding, Nagakura leapt into the crowd of marching Furies. Much to our surprise, none of the Furies pounced reflexively to Nagakura's sudden intrusion. Instead, they opened a path for father to emerge. Ah, fuck!
長倉君か。また邪魔をするつもりかね。
Father let out a lackadaisical sigh? Lackadaisical sigh? Oh, fuck. This drew no ire from Nagakura, who shut his eyes before offering a calm response.
なあ、コードさんよ。俺が羅刹になって意識を保つってのはいっぱいいっぱいだった。三男さんや平助もそうだったに違いねえ。普通のやつを羅刹にして狂わないようにするためには、昨べの陣を襲ったり、そしてこの先の城下で人を襲ったりして、そうやって人を襲っていくしかねえんだよな。人で亡くなった羅刹を生かすために人を殺していく。もうそんな負の連鎖はここで終わりにしねえか。
Father stroked his chin in amusement, sniggering as if Nagakura had shared a humorous anecdote.
そんなことは傍から承知している。今さら言われても何とも思わんよ。言いたいことはそれだけかな。
All was as we feared. Father was unwilling to see reason, meaning we had no choice but to end this wicked abomination ourselves. Or ambition ourselves. I mean, abomination also works. Nagakura, perhaps realizing this fact as well, formed his lips into a frown.
あんたとはちょっとした付き合いがあった。だからこうして頼んでみたんだが、やっぱり無理だったみたいだ。そんじゃ力ずくでやらせてもらうぜ。
My ears popped from the hiss of screeching metal as Nagakura unsheathed his katana. Whoa! As soon as his sword was unsheathed, the Furies aggressively swarmed Nagakura.
てめえら、そこをどけ！俺が用があるのは行動さんだけなんだよ。
所詮君も羅刹ではないですか。彼らとどこが違うというのです。君は今仲間を殺しているんですよ。
Father's condensation echoed over the backdrop of Nagakura's frantic skirmishing as the latter struck at each of his opponent's vital organs.
いや、俺はこいつらに本当の死を教えてやっている。本当はとっくに死んだってことを思い出させてるんだよ。
As the Furies rushed Nagakura with hands extended to claw at him, he responded by slicing at their veins before thrusting his sword into their hearts. The most incredible thing about his adept display of swordsmanship was that he was in his human form.
それに、俺はもう羅刹になんかならない。頼らない。俺は長倉神発だ。
Nagakura barked as he maneuvered bravely into a crowd of Furies, slashing wildly as their bodies hit the floor like plums dropping from a tree branch. That's a specific thing.
羅刹にならない君など、羅刹に私にかなうはずがないだろう。
I mean, he's doing it. Oh, fuck. Father's lips curled into a maniacal grin, drawing from his sleeves a handful of scalpels. With an agile flick of his blade, Nagakura smacked the scalpels from out of Father's hand. Damn! I've never seen anyone done that yet. Oh, shit! Father was aghast at having been disarmed so deftly. Nagakura smirked, flipping his sword in his hand to strike fiercely Father with the blunt edge. Whoa! He's doing tricks now!
なぜそんなに強い？
はっ、これが神道無念流だからだよ。いや、人間のバカ力ってやつだ。人間の力をなめんじゃねえぞ。
Nagakura rolled the hilt of his sword coolly in his hand, biting his lip as he stared at it hesitantly.
やっぱり殺せねえか。
え？
千鶴ちゃんの願いでな、父親は殺せないそうだ。お前がどんな奴だろうと、彼女にとっては父親だったんだ。
Father's eyes shifted to me with a helpless expression.
私をまだ父だと思ってくれているのか。
Always, Father. Well, that just happened! From out of the shadows leapt a fury, seemingly on the cups of death, who savagely attacked Father. Father? Father!
てめえら、やめろってんだ。血をよこせ。
With mangled, slashed faces, some of the Furies rose from the ground, droplets of blood dripping from the fresh, deep cuts along their tattered bodies. Nagakura attempted to swat the herd of Furies swarming towards Father, but it was futile. There were simply too many to handle. In spite of this, Nagakura continued swinging, aiming the tip of his katana at each Fury's beating heart. By the time Nagakura slayed all the Furies, however, Father had been totally massacred. Father. I was devastated to see his body so viciously mutilated. But in his last dying moments, he called me by my name. There was something tender about the way it fell from his mouth, and I was thrust into a bittersweet reverie. A revere, I don't know. It was like I was a young girl again. A token of solace that I was unwilling to relent. As my mind swirled from forlorn thoughts, Amagiri appeared from out of nowhere.
これでこの日の本の戦に関わる羅刹はいなくなった。それでいいですね。
行動さんを倒したんだからそうだろうな。いや、まだいるか。新選組の羅刹。いや、多分あんたたちが狙うような羅刹はもうこの世にはいないと思う。
あなたは羅刹ではない。というのですね。
Nagakura nodded with confidence, his eyes beaming.
俺ともう一度勝負してくれねえか。本当に羅刹がもういないかどうかを証明してみせるよ。
Amagiri grinned warily, raising his fist in anticipation. Oh, boy! The two of them had shared countless duels. Amagiri was certainly no stranger to combat, and had effortlessly subdued many warriors with only his bare hands. So too had he defeated Nagakura, who was considered the strongest warriors in the Shinsengumi, twice. This time, Nagakura had access to fury powers. Tension was thick in the air, making me so nervous it felt like static brushed against my arms, and the two warriors readied their weapons silently. Each of them sized up the other before meeting eyes. Something in the back of my mind told me that this battle would be decided in only one strike. A fitting climax to their harrowing relationship. Each man kicked at the ground, cracking the floor beneath the feet. Each man kicked at the ground, cracking the floor beneath their feet in an immense display of powers. Like I had expected, their duel ended in a flash. By the time I blinked, Nagakura had his blade pressed against Amagiri's collarbone with a grin on his face. Amagiri, however, was barely within arm's length of Nagakura's abdomen.
お見事です。羅刹の力を使わずに私に勝てるとは。それでこそ雪村の娘を預けるにふさわしい。
Nagakura smiled in a winsome fashion.
もう二度と羅刹の力は使わない。けどよ、羅刹である俺はもう人の戦に関わってはいけないんだな。
ええ、そう思います。
Nagakura gave a small nod in response. Amagiri rested his arms, letting them fall to his waist as he sauntered off without another word. I wondered if we would ever cross paths again. As his back shrank with each step, I bowed deeply in his direction. I glanced over at Nagakura, who sheathed his sword as he watched Amagiri disappear into the distance. Are you going to be okay with giving up your position as a warrior for the foreseeable future?
新政府軍はもう憎たらしい薩長ってわけじゃない。勢いの悪い奴らがのし上がるっていうのはこういうことなんだろうな。幕府には散々世話になった。けどもいろんなところにガタが来て腐ってたのは残念だけど本当のことだったんだ。俺たちは必死にそれを守ろうとしていただけなんだよな。新政府の奴らがどういう世の中を作っていくのか、もう少し長生きしてみるのも悪くねえ。君と一緒にな。
Yes. Wherever you go, I will go. I mean, we are married now after all. That got me! Alright. I gently grabbed a hold of Nagakura's hand. Except now, he was Shinpachi to me. He gripped my hand tightly in return, and the two of us shared an incredible silence together. Or indelible. Indelible? That's a word I haven't seen before. Silence together. Is it credits time? It's credit time! Alright. Up. Game. Give me. Yes. Let's see how this ends. Oh god, the sad music. Oh god, the sad music. The year is 1872. I think the last year was 1869, 68. Anyway, we skip ahead a couple of years. 3 years had passed since Shinpachi's fateful battle in Yonezawa, and he returned to his ancestral home in the Matsumae domain. Matsumae domain, a domain just southwest of Ezo, that was once a member of the Northern Alliance. The death of its feudal lord sent discord through the domain, which led to its eventual change of alliance to the Imperial Army. Hakodate is located here! Oh god. Punishments were being strictly doled by any affiliate of the shogunate who fought against the Imperial Army. In order to avoid imprisonment, Shinpachi rightfully fled to the Matsumae domain where he was born. At first, Shinpachi had trouble settling into his familiar surroundings, having felt long since detached from his previous lifestyle when he became a warrior. Given the country's political climate, however, we were faced with no other choice. The Shinsengumi waged war against the Imperial Army until the bitter end. In the aftermath of the war, Any member of the Shinsengumi was branded as a traitor, becoming wanted criminals in the eyes of the new government. I was unsurprised when my extensive involvement with the Shinsengumi meant that I was included in the list of wanted, and so Shinpachi moved us into hiding. My arrival was met with commotion in Shinpachi's home. His unannounced return in tandem with the sudden declaration of our marriage was surely quite jarring, to say the least. His family welcomed us with kind and open arms, giving us refuge until well after the war's aftermath, which was how we settled into the Matsumai domain. Our village was called Otaru, tucked in a relatively remote corner of the Ezo region. Allegedly, the Imperial Army rarely visited here. Today, Shinpachi suggested that the two of us take a stroll to the riverbed situated in the center of Otaru, which I recognized as a calm silver that I had recognized as a quaint sliver of water. This is cute. Oh my gosh, she's not having her hair tied! Her hair is down! I have not seen her with her head. Ah! She's wearing green and white. I'm dead. I'm dead. We took our stroll and Shinpachi found a patch of tall grass beside the river, sitting down as he watched his reflection ripple in the cool sunlit water. He looked at himself wistfully, like he had been staring directly into a distant memory.
この河原、多摩川によく似てるな。自衛官にいた頃や、行っちまったみんなのことを思い出すな。
We heard of Hijikata-san's passing in Hokodate. Okita sadly succumbed to his tuberculosis in Edo. We heard that, following the Battle of Aizu, Saito-san had gone missing in action. Heisuke and Sanan-san, too, passed away in Sendai. As for Harada, to whom Shinpachi had felt the closest kinship, he was killed in action during a battle with the Shogi Company in Ueno, just as we had feared. A fleeting expression wrapped around Shinpachi's face. He only seemed keen on dropping into the river. Out of worry, I called out to him. Shinpachi, you're still here, aren't you? He turned his head upwards, breaking his own stare as he smiled warmly back at me. It was the smile I'd fallen in love with so easily.
大丈夫。俺は千鶴より長生きしてみせるよ。
Shinpachi wrapped his massive arms around me merrily. I leaned into his warm, soft skin, feeling my hair stand from the simple touch of his body. Shinpachi made a vow that he would never use his fury powers until the day he died. His will was unbreakable except when it came to me and matters of the heart, and I knew he'd keep his promise. Although he hadn't cured himself entirely of his affliction, his mind and body were disciplined. I rested against him, thinking of the entire life that we had yet to spend together. We would live on, hearts beating carelessly. Our future was in our hands. We're done! The pain! The achievement is, Ma, I'm moving back in. What the fuck? Okay.